So before the break, we talked about Louis was born in 1941, about the war, how he ended up in Little Rock, how much he loves Little Rock. You should be a spokesperson for Little Rock. You should go around and promote this city because everything you say is right on and it's always so true. And I hear that so much from the people that I interview. Great, we should do the best of compilation of all the great things that
people who came to Little Rock say
when they get here. They're always pleasantly surprised in how they love it and how they've stayed.
I did know that this is the Clinton state.
Yeah. And so you move here.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that.
So I actually wanted to pursue my PhD after my bachelor's. And initially it was a bummer for me that, we're moving to Little Rock and there is not a place where I can do my PhD. But
Did y'all hear she said bummer? Okay, I just wanted to know that. Okay, go ahead. She's very American. All right,
but then when I did my research on Little Rock, I found Clinton School of Public Service, which is essentially going to teach me the same things, or at least the work I'll do after that would be same. So I was actually pretty excited that we will see American South. I had traveled a lot in America. I traveled from coast to coast and border to border. I've seen not all, but more than 35 states. But not the South part. So I was really excited to be in American South. And then Clinton School of Public Service gave me an opportunity to do something different than PhD, but with similar outcomes. So I was very excited. I came here. I pursued my master's. Both my children were in middle and high school. And I worked with some local organizations as an economist, but started more and more focus on interfaith work because my children were growing and I thought there is a need to teach people the skills of interfaith cooperation.
First, the way we were greeted by just to tell you an example, I was Jack and Susan on top of the building.
Yeah.
When we arrived, the kitchen was not functioning, and we were putting still rug on the floor, hanging a chandelier and everything. So we would go every lunch to the group of all the European. We were about 15 people, I think, altogether. We would go to the Minutemen downstairs. It was a burger place to have lunch, and we would sit down at a big table, and the public would come to us and say, "Welcome to our city." With it, oh my God, because just hearing us speaking French, laughing, and having. Everything was new to us. I look and they were so nice to us. I mean, the little girl behind the counter taking our order. I mean, and the public coming to us and say, "Welcome to Arkansas." Never heard that in Europe. They are much more formal. I mean, they're not as open-minded and
snobby.
A little bit much more snob. I mean, that's why, to me, I mean, coming to Little Rock has been the highlight of my life.
All in all, a very, very fun musical career, which basically determined the whole pathway of my life, because the band got me to Arkansas. The band.
How did it do that?
Well, we were getting ready to write the second album, and a friend of mine in New York had met a communal group that was living in Arkansas.
Very popular at the time.
Yes, and he said, "Why don't you guys come down to Arkansas and live with us for a month or so and write your album down there?" And that just sounded like the coolest thing ever. So we did. And we came down and we wrote the album, and then we went back to New York. But
so you went back to New York?
I went back to New York, but then came back down to Arkansas.
Because you fell in love or something?
Because I liked it here.
Oh, you just liked it here. You said when you went back to New York, you sold shoes.
Oh, yes, that's great. So here I am, Mr. Big Shot musician, at the top of my musical career. I go back to New York. I had already not only been a musician, but I had gone into advertising, sort of got hired at an ad agency. When I left this communal group after about 3 years, I got a job with an ad agency. And the woman I was married to at the time, she was from New York also, and we thought we missed it. Mm-hmm. So we moved back to New York. Well, I couldn't get a job in New York in advertising. No way, because here I am from Little Rock, and it was the recession, and the only job I could get was selling women's shoes in Bergdorf Goodman, which is a high-end
mm-hmm.
Fifth Avenue, But I was terrible shoe salesman. I was terrible. And but I did sell shoes to Greta Garbo. That's the highlight of my life. Yeah, absolutely. Size 9 Papagallo flat.
And I I never
never
knew that,
forget it.
Leslie. You didn't tell me.
Well, you don't know everything, Phil. You don't know everything. I got
Well,
secrets.
now everybody else knows.
Everybody knows. So I stayed there 9 months, and I wrote to my boss here in Little Rock, and I said, "Could I have my job back?" He said, "Absolutely. Come on back. I'll give you a raise. We'll give you this. We'll give you that." And so I came back, and I've been here now like 45 years.
How did you end up in Little Rock, Arkansas?
Well, coming from Connecticut, I moved just a few times. So we moved to Atlanta, Georgia for a year and a half. And then from there, we moved to Little Rock. And we lived in Little Rock for about 3.5 years. And then we moved to San Diego.
Good night, nurse.
We kept going west.
Why did your daddy, was it all for careers?
Every time he moved, he got a better job.
For me to come up here, it was pretty unique because, where I'm from down there, nobody knew much about Arkansas. But I wanted to go to a place to where once I left, I could make an impact. This was a 16-year-old kid making that decision. So I knew if I went to Arkansas, if I could achieve success with the Razorbacks, it would open up doors because I couldn't believe how much people love the Razorbacks here. Where I'm from, every block in your neighborhood had Alabama, Florida State, Florida, Auburn. And so, but the loyalty's here. There are other schools here, but Arkansas was such a dominant thing to where I thought, if I came up here, succeeded, once I got through with school, it would open up a lot of doors. And it has.
Again, like I said, my mother said, you don't go in prison for debt, so just do it.
Oh, you don't go into prison for debt. No, you don't. That's a good thing.
Just sign
to
the
say.
paper. You believe in it, do it. And that's what we did. We believed in what we did because we loved it. And the city loved us.
Yes.
Right? And you don't find this kind of love all the time. So.
You said something so entrepreneurial. You just said debt is an opportunity. People don't realize that. People think that debt is a death sentence. They're like, oh, don't go into debt. And you're like, no, debt is an opportunity for cash. Cash is what you take to take risk.
Absolutely. And that was, we became successful, of course, and we opened Graffiti, which was an amazing success also from the day first. And of course after Maison Louis and then and Alouette and remember the Casse-Croûte? Denis Sayer.
The what?
Le Casse-Croûte. It was a small restaurant in West Little.
Le Casse-Croûte.
You remember that?
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Amazing place.
Preparation is a huge key. Same kind of thing when I play for the Razorbacks, I do today. When I get up and do the buzz every morning, I know I better be prepared or I'm going to embarrass myself or I have the potential to embarrass. Whatever I do, the Broyles War, the Touchdown Club, if I don't do a good job preparing, just like you guys, if you don't come in here and prepare decently, you'll embarrass yourself or have the potential to. So it's the same principles that I was doing back in, junior high school football.
What do you want your legacy to be? What is the future going to hold for Sophia?
Well, honestly, I don't know because I do not plan my future, but I definitely do want to see. I live in a country which is a country, it's a dream country for people to come to, especially who have passions, who want self-actualization in life, people like me. And they come here because it's a country where dreams come true, where you can actually rely on your own hard work and be something because the barriers are minimum. And I have been able to do that. And I want to make sure that these opportunities are available to the next generations of Americans, immigrants and non-immigrants alike. So I do my dream is that whatever we can do to protect the legacy of the American dream, to protect the values and the freedoms that this nation offers to its citizens. And we can only do that if we learn how to live with each other, how to interact with each other, how to communicate with each other. We cannot build walls among each other. We need to learn interfaith cooperation to create inclusive communities. So, because I have enjoyed so much from this nation, this nation has given me so much. I want to make sure that the child who lands on the shores of America from Syria, he or she has the same opportunities that you had, and your grandfathers had, and that I have, and my children have. So I think we all have a responsibility to keep America's values intact as a nation of immigrants, as the most diverse nation in the world.
In the restaurant business, the most important thing is to be consistent. That's what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for not to be the best restaurant in the world. Or people say you are, but we know better. We are a very popular restaurant. and we try to be consistent. The quality, the service, the mood, every day, day after day after day. Forget yesterday. We start all over today. Keep both feet on the ground, and that's an advice I would give to anybody who open a restaurant. I mean, just love what you do, and just keep it simple.
And be consistent.
Be consistent. That's most important quality in a restaurant. Next time when you tell your friend, "Oh, have you been to Cyprus, or have you been to Petit and Kid? Have you been to any other restaurant?" And you go back and it's not good. It's good. That's a terrible thing that can happen to you. I mean, and you feel bad because you think, "Oh my God, last time I was there, it was this and this. It was so perfect, and now it's a disappointment." I mean, so keep it simple. Do it again and again and again. I mean, that's.
I think that's good advice for any business. Be consistent.